making a tea and in comes Angelina Jolie.
No way, she walked in.
She did. And she goes, one day I was pulling my chair in at school and I could not get the chair all the way in because of my belly, and a kid made fun of it. I really respected Dr.Dee because I went in saying, just give me veneers. He said no. So whether you're vegan, veggie, pescatarian, carnivore, paleo, keto, low carb, Mediterranean, I think I've covered nearly all the main ones off. Ozempic.
Let's talk Ozempic. What is your take on organic food? Should we be eating organic produce?
Well, that right off, and you can use a beep there if you need to.
Hey. Oh my goodness. We are back for season 2 of Smile the Makeover Scoop, which is crazy to even say, but I'm so happy that we're back together because today's guest is one of Australia's most loved health and wellness personalities. He's a best-selling author of 14 cookbooks, a qualified nutritionist and personal trainer. He starred on My Kitchen Rules season 4 and is the host of Channel 7's House of Wellness. He has truly done it all, and I'm so excited for you all to meet him today. Luke Hines, welcome to the show.
I'm thrilled to be here. You can probably tell from the big Dr.Dee smile.
I can tell you've got these beautiful white teeth. We are so excited to have you on the show. You are the first guest for season 2. So I hope you feel honoured to spend your time with us, and we are so excited to have you here. If I met the younger version of you before the cookbooks, before the shows and before the six-pack, what kind of kid would I be meeting?
Bit of a nerd. He was very shy, quite introverted, obsessed with animals. He also struggled with his weight and his self-confidence, and he felt not lonely, but a little bit alone. Mm-hmm. He was the youngest of 4 boys, and growing up in a family that was pretty wild and out there and a lot going on, I sometimes retreated into video games, into patting my rabbit, feeding my cat, walking my dog. And it was only until I reached high school where I started to probably come a little bit more into my own and realize, okay, I've got a little bit more confidence behind me. Maybe I could start doing some exercise, or maybe I could start eating well. And I think it was probably my year 11 and 12 where I really made a big transformation. And I went from an overweight, shy kid that was bullied a lot to maybe coming into my own, ready for first year uni.
Now, you've spoken openly about struggling with your weight when you were a lot younger, and you earned the nickname Buddha.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Talk to me about your relationship with food and your body growing up.
So I think I used food definitely as a crutch towards dealing with any maybe real emotions that I had going on. There was a lot of different family dynamics growing up for me. The brother directly above me throughout most of his life had struggled with various types of addiction. And that was a real challenge for me because whilst he was dealing with that, I was going through puberty. Wow. And I was trying to develop and learn who I was at the same time as seeing something that can be quite damaging and breaking for not only an individual but a family. And combine that with kids being quite cruel at school because of body weight and body image. And you've got a little bit of a cocktail of, for me, retreating into myself a little bit. It wasn't until one day I was pulling my chair in at school and I could not get the chair all the way in because of my belly, and a kid made fun of it, that I realised that I had used food and I'd used lack of movement as a way of dealing with, I guess, some of the stuff that I was going through in life at the time. And then it was when I finished year 11 going into year 12, I just started running every day and swimming and making my own breakfast with fruit salad and really healthy food. And I turned things around. And I remember the first day of year 12 going to school, and some teachers didn't even recognise me. Oh, wow. They didn't know who I was. It was fabulous.
Where did that change in mindset, though, for you come from, do you think?
That no one else was going to do it for me.
Yeah.
There was literally the only way I was ever going to transform my future, my prospects, my energy, my self-belief, my self-confidence was to get up every day and do it. And I did. I lived in East Malvern and I'd run down to Harold Holt Swim Centre. I'd do laps. Yeah. I'd run along Gardeners Creek, come home, make fruit salad and go to school. And it was really empowering because it taught me a lot about movement, nutrition, but also how much that helped my mindset, and I became a different person.
Wow. How did those early struggles, do you think, shape the type of coach that you are today and the way that you view your body now?
I think for me, it helps having gone through, I don't want to say the ringer because a lot of people go through the ringer in their life in various different ways, but I feel like I've lived enough to give people a really sustainable and genuine approach to living their healthy life now. So if I speak as a coach right now,
Yes.
I feel like I can talk to anyone on their level, because I'm not someone who's always been fit telling them how to get a perfect six-pack. And I'm not someone who's always been happy telling them how to live a more motivated, positive lifestyle. I'm someone who's also been down in the trenches. So hopefully when a client comes to me, they go, yeah, you've done this, but you've also got yourself out of it. Can you utilize some of your tools to help me do the same?
And what are some of those messages that you draw on? So let's say I came to you and I was someone who was not so confident in my body and I wanted to make a change. Where would you start with me?
I would actually do what's called a health history.
Okay.
So a lot of people, like trainers or nutritionists, they might ask you what you ate for lunch this week. They might ask you to do a week or a fortnight kind of food diary, and they might talk about how much exercise you're doing. No, I'm not going to talk about that. That comes, yes, definitely eventually. I'm going to ask about your upbringing, your childhood, any cultural differences that you might have that I might not be familiar with. I might talk about interests that you have, relationships, both romantically and with your friends and your family. Talk about your work life, your passions, your hobbies. By doing a full health history, I can see pretty early some of the issues that you might be facing now that might have come up from specific life events, whether it be emotional reactions to different things that have happened to you, various traumas, injuries. You can link most of it back to our most formative years. That's when we build our patterns. If we talk about our parenting alone, that has a huge impact on the decisions that we make as adults and who we are. So that health history, once we unpack that, we end up getting to the point where I talk about the last fortnight of food and nutrition, but it makes sense because at night when you're feeling lonely and vulnerable and you go for that tub of Ben & Jerry's, there's not just because you can't control your cravings or you're addicted to sugar, but you're maybe suffering from a long-term breakdown of a relationship or you're under financial distress. So whilst we eventually do get to the point of talking about your healthy lifestyle habits now, it can always be tied back to triggers, past emotions, emotional responses, things that we use as ways to band-aid what's actually happening today.
I love that you've said that, and I hope that people listening to this are really, really listening carefully, because there are so many coaches out there, and especially with the information that we see online, people always talking about just the food that we're putting into our body without actually doing that real deep dive into what is it, what else is going on in your life, other stresses that may be impacting and, causing some of those behaviors. Like you said, if you're stressed with work, you might binge eat, things like that, which are really interesting. And I love that you have that very well-rounded approach. Now, you've written over 15 cookbooks. You have your own cooking show on television, and you've even trained Angelina Jolie.
Yes.
Can we just start with Angelina Jolie? Because I was starstruck when I read that. How did this come about?
I was living in Sydney at the time, and I got a phone call from this gentleman who sounded very American and quite serious. And he said, I want you to come in for an interview. We've got this project we're working on, and we need a trainer who not only looks at the movement side of things, but understands nutrition. And would you be in a position to travel? And I was like, yeah, this sounds great. No worries. Where do you want to meet? And he said, I'll get you to come and meet me at Fox Studios. And I was like, okay, so this is interesting. That's very interesting. Why am I meeting this guy at Fox Studios? So I drive to Moore Park in Sydney. I go to Fox Studios and there's this production office and I'm waiting in the waiting area. I go and see him and he's amazing. He's lovely, but he's not giving much away. He's just curious about my approach to food and nutrition or how I look at movement, mindset factors. Also, have I ever helped people lose a drastic amount of weight, but then also put weight on safely? And it's really, piquing my interest here, going, what opportunity or what job is this? And he said, okay, this sounds great, Luke. Hang tight. Could I get you to wait just in the next room while I do something? And I said, yeah, no worries, that's fine. He goes, make yourself a cup of tea or a coffee if you want. And I was like, yeah, for sure. So I'm in this little tea room at Fox Studios in this production place. And I'm making a tea and in comes Angelina Jolie.
No way, she walked in.
She did. And she goes, oh, you must be Luke. And I'm like, oh, yeah. I tried not to say, oh, shit.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, act cool. Yeah, I'm Luke. And she goes, great. Well, hopefully we'll work together. And just kind of walked off. Like it was a total casual, just like, hey, how are you? She's like putting a cup in the sink and walking out. And then I'm just trying to like work out what's going on here.
Yeah.
And anyway, I got the job and I moved up to the Gold Coast and I was based out of Movie World and in an apartment there.
Yeah.
And I worked with her and her 3 male leads for a film called Unbroken. And I was cooking, training, on set, making sure they were happy because they had to be super skinny as prisoners of war, but then they also had to be strong and buff for any of the prequel and the post story.
Wow. Give us the inside scoop. What was she like to work with?
So lovely.
She was lovely.
It is so easy to look into any of the statements made in any tabloid magazine about any celebrity, really. But I think for a long time she got a lot of flack. Her weight would be a discussion for a lot of people, which
I feel like her weight's always been a discussion, right, in the media.
Funny though that anyone's weight, big or small, should actually not be anyone's discussion.
I agree with you.
And there's nothing that revs me up more because it shouldn't be a discussion. Mm-hmm. But because of that scrutiny, and when you do put yourself in the spotlight in Hollywood, there seems to be this permission to say what you want about anybody, whether it's true or not. And she was the most genuine person and just beautiful to work with. And it was a great experience.
How awesome is that?
Yeah.
Speaking about public scrutiny and being in the public eye, you went on My Kitchen Rules season 4. Talk to me about your experience on the show. What was that like? Great news.
Doing reality TV in 2013 means it was still all about food. That's the best thing. No one cared about the drama. 2013, My Kitchen Rules, season 4 was massive. It was one of the biggest shows on TV. It was Seven's biggest hit that year. We were 2 million viewers a night. But back then, no drama. There was no one getting into fights across
Wine
the table.
thrown at them.
None of that. As fun as that would be, I think it would be a hoot to do something like Married at First Sight or Survivor. I would like sign me up because I feel like
good for Survivor.
That'd be good fun. Like
if there's any producers listening now, I think Luke would be great.
Hook me up. But I was very lucky because I did reality TV when it was still very kind. So I had a great experience. It filmed for 6 months of the year in 2012. It aired from January 2013 and it turned my life around. Without My Kitchen Rules putting me on a national platform 5 nights a week, I wouldn't have written 15 cookbooks. I wouldn't have been working with Angelina Jolie. I wouldn't be sitting here right now. So with a Hollywood smile.
Huge. Any challenges or things that you found difficult being on the show? Was it like long filming days or anything like that? Or was it overall just a positive experience? But I think to your point though, probably what you said earlier about the different years of filming, only because we've had so many reality stars come on and talk about how taxing it is mentally and physically on them to film a show like that.
So it's mentally and physically full on.
Okay.
You very rarely have a day off. And if you do have a day off, you're practicing in your kitchen, cooking, doing something. The 2 biggest challenges for me, the first one was going into it. I hadn't publicly ever been out as such. I hadn't hidden my sexuality, but I also wasn't 100% prepared for, do I want to come out to Australia on a national TV show? And interestingly enough, going into it, my anxieties would be that I would be marketed as the gay one. And I want to say there's nothing wrong with that. But I didn't want to be just pigeonholed or put into just a total stereotype. I wanted to be all the diverse facets of me. And wonderfully, I was. They didn't kind of try to make me into any character or lean into any stereotype. So that put my mind at ease, which was wonderful. Because even then, 2013, there wasn't that many other outwardly gay people on these shows. So I was quite happy to kind of own that, but also it was very kind to me. And then secondly, missing friends and family. It is a long time and you're in a bubble. And when you get out of that bubble, I went all the way to the end, you get out and it's Christmas time and you don't even know who you are. It is the weirdest feeling. Yeah. You almost get like this grief of routine and this grief of seeing everyone that you became so close to because you don't see them anymore. And also no one in the world knows what's about to happen. So you come out of the show, no one knows you're on it, no one can know you're on it, and it's not until another month or 2 before commercials start playing. Yep. So you're in this weird limbo where you don't quite know who you are or what to do. And you keep asking permission to go to the toilet because for 6 months you had to ask permission. So it's so weird. Yeah.
Why did you go on MKR in the first place?
I went on very strategically to have a career that I have now.
Yep.
I was passionate about food. I was passionate about cooking, and I knocked on so many doors before MKR. I knocked on Channel 7, Channel 9, Channel 10 to do anything. And I got the occasional Today Tonight story talking about weight loss or training some of the people on Weekend Sunrise. That was really cool. But no one took me seriously for any big gigs. And they said, you don't have a profile. We think you're great, but you don't have a profile. And I said, okay, I've got to reverse engineer this. I've got to go on and have a profile, but I've got to not just go on anything. It's all well and good to go on The Amazing Race or go on The Apprentice. But if that's not my niche, no one's going to know me for what I'm passionate about. And then I saw an ad for My Kitchen Rules. I thought, well, this is perfect. Like, I'm all about the kitchen and healthy food. This show isn't about necessarily healthy food. So let's show Australia that you can cook all the way to the end, nearly win, cooking healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. Was there a moment during MKR where you thought, this is my calling?
I felt comfortable from day one. Okay. I don't want that to sound wanky or ego-festy, but I didn't feel like I wasn't supposed to be there. I felt like it was a really beautiful journey. I loved everyone, even the kind of cheeky characters, like everyone was like a family, and I don't regret anything from it. If anything, I maybe probably quite shy. It was my first proper gig in TV, like reality TV.
It's a big deal to go on reality TV. I mean,
if I did it now, would I be different? I'd still be the same Luke, but I might be a little bit more like my weirder side.
Yeah. Let's talk about your health and wellness background, because wellness online is amazing, right? We have seen the rise of so many amazing health and nutrition influencers and people online who are giving all their advice, but there is a lot of conflicting information out there, and it can be quite chaotic and also scary for people who, someone like me scrolling, and I hear one person say do keto and the other person says plant-based, and someone else says no, you need to be eating meat every day, right? Strip all that aside, what do you recommend? What are the core foundations of having a healthy diet, healthy lifestyle?
Well, I'm glad you said all those different lifestyles because they've all got their place, but there's no one-size-fits-all approach for anybody. We have this wonderful thing called bio-individuality, and what that basically means is that we are so unique in our gut health, in our brain health, in our bodies, in our biology, everything, our DNA. We are completely different, all of us, and that's exciting because what works for me may not work for you, and what works for you, I might not even want to go near. But the great thing is there is an approach that allows all of us to thrive, and there's no right or wrong. Well, I say that with a few caveats. What is right? My foundations, cooking from scratch as often as you can, choosing each and every mouthful to be as nutrient dense as possible. So if you have empty calories, that's things like processed foods, crisps, lollies, all that stuff, they're empty calories because in each mouthful there's low nutrient density. But if you're having beautiful whole foods that are cooked from scratch, that are minimally processed and not from packets, that's what I call nutrient density. And also our diet isn't just what we eat. So whether you're vegan, veggie, pescatarian, carnivore, paleo, keto, low carb, Mediterranean, I think I've covered nearly all the main ones off. It doesn't matter which one you are. The food is one component of your diet. Your sleep hygiene is part of your diet. The company that you keep is part of your diet. How you move is part of your diet. The things that you consume on TV and social media, that is all part of your diet and has a direct impact on your health. And those things impact our gut health. So whilst good food helps our gut health, if you're doing bad things in life and you're surrounding yourself with negative energy and you're stressed all the time, or you're doing a lot of drugs and all that type of stuff, each to their own, it all does affect your diet. So it's not just food.
It's interesting you say that, and I'm going to share a personal story now because I have suffered with really poor gut health for a very, very long time. And I've been to see so many doctors like naturopaths, I've gone to see general GPs, but they just cannot get to the bottom of what is going on with my gut. Now, I also do work quite a stressful job and I'm constantly run off my feet and busy. And it's only recently that I've had one naturopath say to me, I actually think it's the stress that's having a massive, massive negative impact on your gut health. And I just had an aha moment because if you look at my diet, we eat very healthy at home. I have a Greek Italian background, so we eat, beautiful Mediterranean food. But like you said, whole foods, even organic, things like that. So I'm thinking if the stuff I'm putting in my body is good, why is my gut just reacting like this? And I think, to your point, there's a lot of other factors that play a part. It's not just the food that goes into the body.
I'm really glad you said that, because stress is the first thing you're going to feel in your gut.
Yeah.
If you are in a state of chronic stress a lot of the time, that's where it goes. It's also where our stress response comes from. You know, when you get butterflies in your tummy or you're feeling stressed and you get an upset tummy, there's a reason.
That's me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Our gut is our second brain.
Yep.
There is so many bacteria and cells down here that are connected to our gut-brain axis, and they work hand in hand with our nervous system. So if your nervous system is shot because you're eating well, but you're not sleeping properly, because you think you're sleeping well, but you're actually stressed, so it's affecting your deep and your REM sleep, but then you're actually consuming maybe too much screen time. All of those different things combined are a little cocktail for the insides.
I have so many questions for you because there's so many things that you've said there, and I'm scrambling to write notes so I can ask you. I wanted to touch on organic food. What is your take on organic food? Should we be eating organic produce?
I do when I can, with what I can source and what I can afford. It does make a difference if you look at a comparison called the Dirty Dozen and it's called the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. Okay, so Google that. If you're listening to this and you're someone who is interested in organic, Google that, the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. They give you an idea of the types of produce that you do or don't have to be strict about when it comes to choosing organic, based on the type of pesticides that those produce are grown in and the ability to wash them, or they've got a skin or whatnot. That's a really handy tool for people who might be struggling to go completely organic because it's either not able to be sourced locally or they simply can't afford it. And I see both of those in my own life too. I'd love to be perfect across the board. When you're choosing organic, let me explain what that means. When it's organic animal protein, you are voting with your dollar towards those animals having the happiest and healthiest life they can possibly have. And I know a vegan is going to tell me there's no happy life for an animal that's about to be killed. But when it comes to animal proteins, they're not all created equal. When they're grass-fed, grass-finished and organic, or they're free-range poultry, free-range and organic, they have lived a life that they're supposed to live. Lots of land, a diet they're designed to eat, no grain, no fillers, nothing else bad in there, and then they're killed humanely. That's all part of the organic process. So that's why I try to buy organic meat where I can. If I can't, I go free range or as local as I can as well. Now, it's not the end of the world. I'm not telling you that if you're not eating organic, you're going to be chronically ill or it's bad for your health. The more we vote with our dollar towards organic, the cheaper it will become for everybody, because it will put pressure. There'll be more demand, supply and demand, and we're also going to bring down costs because more people are doing it, which actually helps. And it'll also make some of the people who aren't doing the right thing up their game, making it fair across the board for everybody. When it comes to fruits and vegetables, the things that people need to be mindful of when it comes to non-organic is just making sure they're rinsed properly so that you're avoiding any sprays and pesticides. That's the only thing. You can manage both ways. But do what's right for you. If I told you that you could do organic but everything had to be shipped in from overseas, I'd say don't do it, because the food miles and everything that goes along with getting that food from another country to here then makes no sense. It cancels it out. So local, sustainable, ethical and organic if you can, and it suits your lifestyle.
Love that. And it's true what you said about organic produce being so expensive, and in this economy as well, some people are just struggling to even put food on the table, let alone to buy organic. So I think, those other tips and things that you said are really important for people listening.
And it shouldn't be a stress. Just cook with real food. It's important I say that. Whilst I'm passionate about choosing mindful, ethical produce, it is not practical for everyone. And there's some weeks in my pay packet where I go, that's a wish. That's a would love, but it's not a must have. So I do the next best option. But if you're cooking real food, organic or not, that's the best place to start with your health. I will say, when you eat nutrient-dense foods, you don't need as much food because junk doesn't fill you up, just makes you more hungry. And then you end up spending more money on junk, and junk is now expensive. It's no longer cheap. So if you look at nutrient-dense healthy food, it actually costs a bit more, but you eat a lot less because you feel fuller for longer.
What are some things that you should absolutely always have in your fridge? Let's say you're hungry.
Eggs.
Eggs?
First thing that came to mind is eggs. They are nature's superfood. They can be breakfast, lunch and dinner. They can be sweet and savoury. They can be pancakes. They can be scrambled eggs. They can be a cake. They can be an omelette. They can be a frittata. Try it. Name a better food than eggs.
I do love my eggs, so that's a great one. You have built such a solid and trusted presence online, but I would like to know from you, what is one wellness or cooking myth that you see circulating online that you would want to bust?
Wellness myth?
Wellness or cooking myth?
Ozempic.
Let's talk Ozempic.
I know that it can be a very, very important tool for some people, especially those struggling with diabetes. But what I will say is this: the long-term health effects of continuous microdosing or usage over a long period of time when you don't need it can be very, very detrimental to your health. You lose severe amounts of muscle mass, which is terrible for your metabolism and long-term longevity, like your health long-term. When you get older, muscle mass is the king, the be-all and end-all. I can't stress enough. Men and women, no matter how old you are, as you're getting older, keep strength training, keep lifting, keep pushing,
I love that
squatting.
You're saying this, yes.
You got to do it.
Yep.
One of the downsides and one of the side effects of Ozempic is that you lose a lot of muscle mass very, very quickly, and it is just not good for your gut health and everything else. And I know it's controversial because there's a lot of people on it, and a lot of people are leaning on it to stay lean. And I believe we're going to see class action lawsuits in the future due to the health concerns that it actually creates in the long run. And in the history of health and wellness, no quick fix or fad has ever lasted, because there's a reason it's a quick fix and fad, because it's not sustainable. If you truly want to be healthy, steer clear of that and do what everyone else does. It might feel like the hard yards, but that is sustainable health. Build your gut health, cook from scratch, eat nutrient-dense foods. You will phone me when you're 45, 50, 55, even 60, and you've got an incredible microbiome. So do you want to know why I'm passionate about this? If you muck up your gut health, you're mucking up your immune system, you're mucking up your mental health, you're mucking up your digestive system. You aren't what you eat. You know how here we are what we eat? We are what we absorb. And if your gut is out of, in what we call dysbiosis, you're not going to absorb all of those incredible nutrients, but you're going to get sick more often. You're going to be stressed. You may deal with mood disorders, stress, anxiety, depression. Avoid all of that and just cook from scratch. Move your body. Have less calories going in, more calories going out.
So Ozempic is a quick fix drug, right?
Yep.
But what would you say for things like supplements for gut health? Prebiotics, probiotics, where do you start? Because there's just so much out there and it can be quite confusing for people.
I love a supplement if it's supplementing something that you're not getting from your diet at the moment, or it is going to aid in a particular time or condition that you're going through. As you can see, I'm very a la natural today. And by a la natural, we got no makeup. I usually wear like a tinted moisturizer or like a foundation before something like this. I would paint on eyebrows, and I would have my hair all zhuzhed. Now, the reason I don't have that today is, as you can see, 2 weeks ago, I had a hair transplant. And I wanted to come on here today, regardless of some of those masks that I sometimes wear in these spaces, to show that, you know what, sometimes this is just how you are. You're not always in your head as perfectly camera ready as you might want for your own ego. But also a lot of people go through different things. And I thought, well, if anyone's watching this and goes, what has Luke done to his hair? Maybe it'll spark a conversation around that self-confidence can come in many different ways. Obviously, the incredible teeth that Dr.Dee and I worked on, but also the hair that I did here locally in Australia as well. They're all things that you can do to boost your self-confidence. Now, I talk about that procedure because I'm currently having bone broth 3 times a day. Now, bone broth aids and can support reducing inflammation, supports gut health, improves healing, great collagen for hair, skin and nails. And the people who have been working on the hair go, you are healing faster and quicker than anyone ever, because I'm getting 8 to 9 hours sleep. I'm looking after my gut health. I'm having bone broth 3 times a day. I'm supplementing with real food supplements of sorts that are going to aid me at this point in time in my life.
Yep.
Will I have bone broth 3 times a day every day for the rest of my life? No, I'll probably have a cup in the morning, but I'm supplementing now to boost what I'm currently going through, which is, fantastic. When it comes to other things, when it comes to the supplement space, it is hard to get all of your daily protein if you are not constantly doing meal prep and cooking lots of chicken breast and
which is what I'm
mince.
finding. I'm not getting enough protein every day.
So a really clean protein supplement is perfect too. It shouldn't be there to replace real food, but it's fantastic to up. So a few others that I swear by. Magnesium is incredible. Most people that we meet, if we do a test right now in the room, would be magnesium deficient, just naturally. It's one of the most common deficiencies that people have. We're not doing anything wrong. It just can be hard to get enough in our diets. How much dark chocolate can you actually eat to get magnesium? Magnesium helps us sleep better. It regulates our mood. It's responsible for so many functions in our body. It's great. So have it before bed. You'll sleep like a baby. I think a high-dose quality vitamin C is incredible all year round to just improve not only your immune system, but it's great for hair, skin, and nails. Vitamin C and collagen go hand in hand. They actually they work together.
Yes, I have heard that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you want collagen to work and support collagen production, vitamin C is what we call a precursor to that actually doing the magic work. Vitamin C, magnesium, and then really each individual is up to themselves. So you might look at taking a really good quality iron supplement. Zinc is quite good too. Tribulus for men when it comes to hormones. So yeah, if you're missing it or you're lacking it, it can be good. Just be mindful of the source.
I want to ask you about your daily wellness routine and what that looks like, what those non-negotiables are. Now, Ashton Hall, I'm not sure if you saw the American influencer online who posted his morning routine, which starts at 3:52 in the morning with him removing his mouth tape and doing an ice bath on his face. Now, he copped a lot of flack online for that. A lot of people said this is a load of crap, right? Yeah. What does your daily wellness routine look like?
My morning routine typically starts just before or on sunrise. In order to sleep really well, we need to set our circadian rhythm up in the start of the day. By exposing yourself to the sunrise, you're actually getting your body clock starting to work now so that you sleep better at night. That's a really big, important one. If you're struggling to sleep, get sunlight in the morning. It starts the process. Then it's all about time with my dog. I've got a beautiful golden retriever called Kira. And to connect with her, it could be a beach walk, it could be a cuddle on the couch, it could be just a stroll around the block while I'm sipping my coffee. And then I make my coffee at home, which is a beautiful routine. I've got like an Italian Violetta mocha press.
I love that.
On the stove.
How gorgeous.
They make beautiful coffee and it's a ritual. I play music. I've got my dog. I make a coffee. I have beautiful hydration while I'm waiting for that to cook. And it's great. Dog, coffee, sunrise, they're my non-negotiables. And then the added benefits, if my schedule allows, is a bit of gym, maybe do some laps at the pool, have a beautiful walk. They're a bonus. But having that moment to myself, I'm trying to be a lot better at not picking up my phone the minute I wake up. I was getting into the habit of rolling over, and the first thing I do is open the apps and scroll. What am I looking for?
I am so guilty of that, and I hate myself for it though, but I just, tell me, what are you doing to stop that habit? Are you just consciously just trying to stop?
I'm not going to miss anything.
Yep.
There's nothing, I can wait.
Yeah,
it's great. So good for your brain if you can wait.
Absolutely.
Wait as long as you can.
Luke, something I love about your whole approach is that it's not just about eating well or moving, it's about how you feel in your own skin. And something you've been very open about, which is a little bit more visual, is your beautiful smile makeover with Dr.Dee. Talk to me about the process. So you had Invisalign first, is that right? And then your top and bottom veneers. Yeah,
so I came to Dr.Dee. I met him in 2019. He was a guest on the House of Wellness, which I was hosting at the time. And I remember pulling him aside and going, hey, look at my teeth. I feel like we should talk. And he goes, come on in. We'll have a chat. And I didn't realize, but I had this weird kind of tooth down here in my mouth, right? And I always just thought it was a manky little tooth that just looked a bit ugly, weirdly smaller than my other teeth. And he goes, do you realize that's still one of your baby teeth?
Really?
Your adult tooth never came through and pushed out. So I had an adult tooth down here in my gum, embedded, and then I had a little weird rotten baby tooth that was rotten.
No way.
So disgusting. Sorry, everybody. Rotten tooth there, and my wisdom teeth were impacting. So it was all going on, and my mouth was also going kind of like concave.
So it was a hot-ass mess.
It was a hot-ass mess. My bite was not right. I wasn't happy with the shape of the bottom. They were everywhere. They were like a jigsaw puzzle. And a lot of people go, Luke, your teeth were fine. But I look at myself every day.
Yep.
I know my teeth. I know they could have been better, and I didn't have a lot of great dental care growing up. So I had neglected my teeth care. And I came in thinking, let's just get Invisalign, one and done. And what I loved about Dr.Dee, he said, that's great, but no. And I thought, what? I thought you would just whack on some veneers and the problem would be solved. What Dr.Dee does and his care for actual oral health and his patients is beyond measure, because we talk about overseas tourism when it comes to hair transplants and also teeth. They do not care if your bite is correct, whether you're going to have issues in the future, whether you get those veneers on, you're going to start cracking them because you're not got the right type of gait in your mouth. So I really respected Dr.Dee, because I went in saying, just give me veneers. He said, no, you've got to do the work first. And that is incredible. Instantly, I fell in love with him and trusted him. He said, you need to get your mouth right first. You need to have a bite that's correct. You need to make sure that you're not grinding your teeth. You need to get rid of the adult tooth embedded in your gum, get rid of the baby tooth, remove your wisdom, and then let's talk about veneers. If you still want to do veneers then, great, but let's actually get your oral health and your actual teeth and gums in the best condition possible. Now, I can guarantee if I'd flown over to another country, they would have shaved my teeth down to little nothings. They would have whacked on veneers at any cost, and by now I would already be paying for it tenfold. Whatever money I saved by doing it overseas, I'd be paying for it now in trying to fix it. I did the hard yards. I did I did Invisalign, what ended up being nearly 2 or 3 years because COVID happened. So I was stuck in northern New South Wales and Queensland, which meant I couldn't really get down to my regular dental appointments. Yep. So I got in touch with Dr.Dee and said, why don't I just wear them for a little bit longer? And he was like, great. So I actually wore my retainers for a little bit longer, getting my teeth in epic condition. I didn't rush it whatsoever, got them perfect. Borders opened up. I could re-enter Victoria. I came down and he said, your teeth look great. They look fantastic. We've got lots of options now. Do you still want to do veneers? If you do, great, let's do it. And I did. And I couldn't be happier that not only I fixed my teeth first properly, and then I did veneers, because now I've got veneers for life that aren't compacting. They're not grinding at night. They've got a beautiful bite. They don't touch. They're not cracking, nothing like that. And if anyone's thinking about getting veneers, do them properly. Do them with Dr.Dee, but do them properly, because every day I wake up, there's not a single regret. Not a single regret. And the amount of people who just randomly on the street go, I love your teeth. Your teeth are amazing. Even in theatres, in movie cinemas, on planes, overseas, at airports, customs people in other countries are like, whoa, your teeth are great. Honestly, there's not a day where someone doesn't say, I love your teeth.
Well, it was the very first thing I noticed when you walked in. I was like, whoa, there's some beautiful teeth. Yeah. Do you think people underestimate how much your smile affects your overall confidence and just how you feel about yourself?
Without a doubt. Yeah. I didn't realise I had a tick that I would do when I smiled in photos to hide my jagged teeth that I previously had. So I would constantly smile with my tongue out, this semi-weird tongue out. And I would do that because it would soften the bottom of my teeth. So they were all jagged and a bit wonky. Yeah. By having my tongue out, it looked like a perfect kind of teeth bite. And I ended up doing that for years. And I have all these photos pre-Dr.Dee time where I'm just
burn those now.
Yeah, constantly doing this to kind of make my smile look more even. And I haven't done it since. I have not done it since. I just smile so wide and so confidently. And being able to smile confidently is a game changer when it comes to self-belief, self-confidence. And I know there'll be people who go, oh, you shouldn't have to change how you look to be confident. I'm sorry, but a haircut, a fake tan, brows, anything we do to ourselves, they're things to give ourselves self-confidence to go out and face the day in the most confident possible way that we can, right? Why not our teeth? Why not our hair? Why not things that count to us?
Absolutely. I love your approach and I'm fully aligned with everything you said there. We have a closing tradition on this podcast where every guest has to do a round of rapid fire Q&A. So I have 10 questions for you and I'm throwing you in the hot seat. Are you ready? Question number 1, what is the TV show that you're currently watching?
White Lotus, and I just finished the premiere last night.
Okay.
Oh, the finale last night.
How are you feeling?
Oh, it's such a roller coaster.
It really is. Question 2, if you could have one chef cook for you for the rest of your life, who would it be?
You know the first name that came to my head? It was Ian Hewitson. And so many people are going to go, what? And it's going to show my age. But he used to have a show called Huey's Cooking Adventures. Yeah. And I don't know why, because he's not particularly healthy, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like he'd be a hoot in the kitchen.
He'd be great.
His personality, like, hello, Luke. What would you like today? I'll make you anything you want. He'd whip his tea towel around.
I love that.
More for the company. And I'll just get him to hold the oil.
I love that. Question 3, what is your go-to snack when you're on the run?
Oh, when I'm on the run, I'm obsessed with this chocolate called Loco Love. Now, they are these gorgeous, beautiful mini chocolates, and they come in like caramel, and there's one that tastes like a Twix bar. They're so good, and they do happen to be organic, and they're refined sugar-free, they're plant-based, and they're morsels of pure joy. And I'm a chocolate fiend, so if I can have healthy chocolate, bring it on.
I love it. Question 4, what is your ultimate self-care ritual?
Sleep.
Sleep.
Honestly, sleep changes everything in your life. Just to get 8 proper hours and you'll thank me.
Are you a morning or night person?
Morning.
What's one thing that instantly makes you smile?
Animals.
What is your favourite recipe from your cookbooks?
Any of my fritters, sweet potato or pumpkin.
I love fritters. What is your dream travel destination that you haven't been to yet?
Oh, Alaska.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
What is your go-to dance move at a wedding?
Oh.
You can demonstrate if you like.
I'm going to say the nut bush.
Okay.
I'm going to go, if the nut bush comes on at a wedding, I'm there.
You're in the middle of the dance floor. And the last question, if you could leave listeners with one message about living a healthier, happier life, what would it be?
It starts with you. You have everything you want inside of you, and it's that voice inside your head that holds you back. The minute you want to dream big, create your own project, go out there and show the world who you are, your brain kicks in and goes, no, I'll be judged. People will laugh at me. I'm not good enough. Well, that right off, and you can use a beep there if you need to, because I want you to say this after me, whoever it is listening to this. I'm Luke Hines, but you can change it and say your name. I'm Luke Hines. Why not me? Yeah. I want them to say that about themselves. Why not you? Go out, make it happen. Who cares what anyone else thinks? We're tiny specks in this enormous universe. Life is too short to play small.
Luke, thank you so much for coming on today. I feel so inspired just by talking to you. And even that little pep talk at the end, I was like, yes.
Just in the mirror. I want you to say it.
Absolutely. The days when we're feeling self-doubt, I think this is an episode where people need to replay and listen to over and over again. You are amazing and I love your approach. And so thank you so much for coming on today. Episodes will be released every Thursday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify and YouTube. You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok at Smile the Makeover Scoop. Remember to send in any questions you have, dilemmas, guests that you want to see on the show. You can email us to hello@smilethemakeoverscoop. Next week, we will be joined by Australia's most followed male TikToker. He has over 15 million followers. I can see Luke's face now. His name is Caleb Finn and he will be joining us live in studio, so make sure you stay tuned for that episode. That's all we have time for today. Thank you guys and I will catch you next week. Bye for now. This podcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute medical, legal or financial advice. Please consult with a professional for specific advice tailored to your situation.